Hi, welcome everyone for the CX supply chain, e-commerce, and cross-border panel. I'm excited to have our panelists who are coming from all the way from a product background, from cross-border backgrounds, and e-commerce background. Lazada, we have DNX, we have Crimson Logic, Gets, and also Hewlett Packard, right? So all the esteemed panelists are with us. They bring tons and years of experience along with them, and hope this is going to be a very exciting panel for us to uncover what customer service is all about, right? So customer service has been evolving, as we know. At one side is like you're asking for a customer experience to be enhanced, and then the other side is the expectation is kind of going in a different direction, especially with pandemic, and especially with e-commerce coming in, and with Amazon effect, with Lazada effect. I would say that same day delivery, 30 minutes delivery, 2 hours delivery, right? So the expectations for the customers are increasing enormously on one side. And we also have the technology influence happening where people are like online, abrasive, and getting the chatbots and getting the customer's voice heard instantly, and they have a say to say at that point in time. So things are changing drastically from a customer experience to an expectation standpoint. And I'm very excited to start with the panelist, with Datushri first, on how at DNX, since you have taken up your leadership role, how do you listen to the customers and get their trends so that you can have your strategies defined in the background, right? So what's your listening pattern, to your customers?
Hey, thank you very much, Manoj, and hello to everyone, panel. Definitely good to be at the FITS Asia 2021. Obviously, we wish it could be more physical, but nevertheless, this is the new norm. Now, I mean, very interesting question, Manoj, about customer experience. One thing, this COVID-19 has taught everybody, I think there's no exception, is how to adapt very quickly on this very challenging environment. So in Malaysia, I think, to be honest, I think the company struggled a little bit, in the early days of where, the COVID-19, kicks in, where, movements have been restricted, people start working from home. People are not used to this non-traditional, what you and me are doing today on the virtual. I mean, some people struggle. People still like to have this teh tarik, have a cup of coffee, and a face-to-face and see the body language of people. I mean, that's traditional. So I think companies, need to adapt very quickly. So when I came in, one of the things that I am a strong advocate is always about listening to the customer. Since we are constrained by going, so I think we need to then start using this new norm as part of our mainstream. So we reinvent ourselves, spend a lot of time, listening to the customer, and sharing as much as they are having problem, sharing part of what are the transformation that we are doing. So I think one of the things that customers appreciate is for partners to be very open about their plans and going forward. That's number one. Number two, it's also about sharing information. Just like CK and Crimson Logic, we also, as a trade facilitator platform, we have a lot of information, that we've gathered over many years. But somehow, over the past, we have not been sharing this information enough. So what I did, when I interact with them, is to share the trends that's happening in the global market, and particularly in Malaysia with this COVID, and to also share and give my view of the trend that they are experiencing as a company. And to my surprise, some of the CEOs, are very surprised as the data that we're able to share to them. So that goes to the next point, which means there's a lot of data out there that I think we need to then package it, make it easy to understand for the customer. I mean, that's what this data analytics is all about. So the traditional way of talking, I think, still remain relevant, but now we need to infuse some sharing of information and data. And then they will then be able to see, relate what's happening to the business and what's the environment is. I think the third is how to empower them, because we cannot be doing this, day in and day out. I mean, we need to talk about strategy too. So one of the ways I think we should be doing, and what we are doing in DNX, is to empower them by giving them what we call the dashboard. Each customer will have a different needs and demands, based on the business. So we have an off-shelf dashboard that we talk about. These are the parameters that they can use, but there are customized dashboard that we can do based on your requirement. And what we then realize, once they see the dashboard, they become hungry for more data. So the requests keep on coming in. I want this, I want that. But as partners, I'm sure all the members are always experiencing the same thing. people will ask the moon and the sky, Manoj. But I think us as the partners, we need to be able to guide them, to give the message that's only useful for them. They can make, they can make them, allow them to make the right business decision. So a lot of our team is really understand the pain point and, creating a dashboard that will help them to, to empower them to make the decision. Because today, as you know, because the world is moving so rapidly, the environment is changing, so quickly, data availability of data becomes very important. As you know, we are now going to what we call a stage of data economy. So we want to share that data with them. And I believe going forward, this is going to be a new thing. And the feedback that we've got so far, I think, is very encouraging. They like what we are doing. They like our approach. But still, having said that, Manoj, nothing beats a face-to-face interaction, eyeball to eyeball, having a cup of coffee and really understand the viewpoint. So I wouldn't want to eliminate that, that face-to-face transaction. But so, we are where we are today, it's a new norm, so we need to adapt quickly and use digital as, I'm sure my colleague will share later on, digital as a norm, as a way to do our business. And data, I think, will have a very important role to play. So that's how we believe, is the way we're going to interact with customer. And I have a simple rule. I'm a marketing guy. I have a very simple rule. Rule number 1, the customer is always right. Rule number 2, the customer is wrong. Refer to rule number 1. So the customer is always right, whatever you say. No matter what you say, the customer is king. So our job is to open our ears and listen to them and trying to understand and address a pain point. And that's what, conversation is all about. As you said, seek first to understand before you be understood. So you need to understand what your customer's pain point first. When we do that, I'm sure the customer will walk away happy. So that's my comment.
I like that. We will have a lot of votes from our audience by having heard this, right? So I love that. Data-driven, human touch. I can't agree with you more on that. So moving on from a B2G to a B2C online Lazada, where everybody's pattern has changed to online through pandemic. I would like to move on to Jamil, who is the head of Lazada for Asia Pac, based out of Singapore. Jamil, how do you see the trends? How do you listen to your customers, and how do you keep up with things? All to you, Jamil.
Yeah, I guess, Manoj, firstly, thank you for having me on the show, and thanks to introducing me to such wonderful panelists as well. For us, it's if I put this into context, we're actually operating in 6 different countries, and pandemic obviously put us all in different challenges at different times. Some countries still challenging now, some have been moved on, and then our parent company, Alibaba, was living through this prior to obviously what happened with us. And so there's some learnings we could take from there. So I think the evolution for us was, firstly, being a platform. I think our sort of work changed 100% overnight. Literally, it was customer habits and trends changed to completely, what we never planned for. Our business wasn't geared up to actually do this. So I think one thing we struggled with initially was actually being versatile enough to actually react to that demand coming in. So it took us a bit of time to get there. But now going back to more about customer centricity and how do we manage, customer information and data, I would break this into sort of 3 key buckets. One for us is data science, how our platform actually operates. We have over 100 million products that we offer pretty much in every facility that we work out of. So these are the 6 entities that we're in. So making sure we can actually tell and give customers and sellers as well very clear, that woods from the tree kind of scenario. This is the stuff you have to focus on. This is why it's important. Help them through, understanding price points, as well as how they need to start looking at their products in terms of listing and making more prominent within the platform itself. So that's number 1. So having data science behind that to help you create that visibility kind of links to the earlier discussion around the dashboard. Then the second bit around, once you've done your operation, how do you actually help understand from a execution point of view what the customer felt? And customer for us then falls into 2 buckets. One is the actual seller who actually helps bring products to your platform. The other one is actually the end user who actually bought it from you. And 2 have very different expectations. The seller wants, obviously, his product to be on the top of the list. He wants it to sell well. He wants them, as they pack products, for the 3PLs who actually operate, to pick up those parcels to be with them in a timely fashion, because they tie up the entire operation around that thing to work pretty much in a timely fashion. And then on the other side, you've got the customer who's actually ordering. He wants product, he wants quality, he wants pricing, he wants a timely delivery. Now you're using that sort of information that comes through, like we do a survey every month that looks at the last 2 weeks worth of effort that we put in. And based on that, we get information. Now, just to put it into context, for each month, we get probably about 20% of our ratio of orders to customer feedback. Not everything is related to actually the product that you delivered, but it's related to everything else. Maybe about 10% is to do with the actual delivery. Now you have to go through that and work out what is relevant, what is linked to the actual delivery experience. And then you work on that to improve it. So now, again, it goes back to clever stuff has to be done. You have to go a bit more detail. You have to understand the customer feedback and try to understand where they're coming from. And then you put solutions with that in mind, to improving it. Then lastly, you have the CAMs. These are the key account managers. These people will then work very closely with sellers and help them create their portfolio. Again, e-commerce is still a pretty young industry in the region we're in. Now, educating the small sellers to understand how to interact with platform. And also then we actually make it available for a buyer and a seller to have a direct conversation, again, linking to what DATO was saying, that yes, we're in a very different world where that connection isn't there. When you put it into our context, even worse, we have close to 50,000 sellers, a couple of 100,000 buyers. They can't obviously talk. So what we do is we have a chat channel within the app going on where you can directly talk to your seller, who can advise you, hey, the product that you ordered is not available. It'll take me another week to order. From my seller, are you okay to wait? Or can I give you a different color, or whatever proposition they can actually offer you? So creating that relationship was key. And then the CAMs obviously work alongside that to make sure that the seller has all the tools within his armory to make sure he's successful. So I think when you look at it, those are sort of three buckets that we in Lazada would work with to actually make sure both the sellers and the buyers are successful in what they're trying to do. And our platform at the same time actually enables our business to grow in a mutual way.
Absolutely. So it's easier said than done. Quite a complex operation, like you mentioned, data science. And I was quite surprised to hear about the account manager part on the human touch part, which again ties back to what Datu said, right? So interesting. Yes. Yeah, we'll come back to you on the second round for sure. And let's move on to CK, based out of Singapore, Crimson Logic gets, right? So what are you doing, CK, from your side to listen to the customers and hear the voice?
I think we leverage very much is really on technology side. Firstly, we really hear from what the customers getting in touch with us. So technology like live chat, social media live chat become very important. We use WhatsApp, we use WeChat, that we can actually close the distance of getting customers to come and feedback to us and talk to us. It also involved with the audio portion, so that it can help really to hear from what is the customers that their requirement is. I think a few points that earlier on the two panelists has also talked about. Data is very important. We do a lot of data analytics. We provide also dashboard, but the dashboard that we provide itself is for the customers itself to really understand what is their current trade environment is about. They want to make a decision, or if there is any things that's happened, how do they use this data itself to understand, to make changes? And when they understand and they want to make changes, the next thing is, who do I contact? Do I write an email to someone, which is you're going to wait for another days or maybe 48 hours before someone respond to you? If I can reach out to someone almost instantly and say, hey, I need these changes, can you get it done? So that's something that we have embarked on, and we make changes itself. We beef up really a lot in terms of our leveraging on technologies, products like Zoom, products like Team, even our own CRM system itself. We do an upgrade. We get our customer service itself able to respond, how soon, how fast we can respond to customers. And that actually help in terms of improving a lot of customer experience. Every year we do our own survey to understand from our customers to say, hey, how are we performing? Did our guys do a good job? If you have a request, did we attend to it? Or how fast did we attend to it? We're even able to track in terms of when you click for application. So how long, how fast, how quick, the timing. Even we do webinar, we track the attendance, how long each topic is, how people log on, and at what time people log off. So you will understand. Yeah, then you have, with that information, you're able to capture, the usage, the pattern, the way people are interested. Like sometimes when you're doing a deal, good example, I think JAMIL has shared earlier on, the user pattern. You understand how these people use it, and at the right time, you roll out the right product, the right solution. For us, it's more the right transaction has to be done because people are very concerned. Like, for example, this month they have a 4-4. This 4-4 itself, you click on it and suddenly your system doesn't work and transaction doesn't go through, payment doesn't go through, or credit card doesn't go through. These are issues. So they want instant response because they see the price there now and I wanted to buy it now. And that is where, our customer experience will come into the picture itself and tell people, say, hey, we're here to support you, work on it. I mean, Dato also mentioned, right? People like to be physically involved. You like the cup of tea, to sit along face to face. I see your eyeball. We, at this situation is how we wanted, but may not be able to do it. So we change our way. We do e-coffee. I hold my cup and I say, hi, thank you.
There you go. I'm with you. Yeah.
So those actually give us a really inside view of, the customers. Sometimes customer will complain to you about, hey, you're too e-enabled. Is there something that, more human? But at the moment itself, we leverage on the norm, whatever that, is happening now. We try to be as much as, the human e-way. To get in touch with people, to talk to people. So these are things that we are doing and we see great improvement.
Yeah, so that helps actually. So a little bit of the micro level managing the data patterns, and then the e-weeks and the e-ticks and e-coffees, e-neaties. Yep, good. Right, so let's go with that. And let me touch a little bit on the product side of Hewlett Packard, right? So Hewlett Packard has been very close to my heart. Vinay, I've shared with you offline also. I've been with Compaq and Hewlett Packard for over 10 years, and the last mile delivery as a CIO for Ingram Micro, right? I've touched both parts. So how do you see as HP listening to customers and trying to make a difference there? Vinay.
Manoj, first and foremost, glad to be here. Delighted to be part of this esteemed panel. And you are probably more familiar with this, but for those who are not, I will just very quickly lay out what HP does, right? I'm part of HP Inc. We make a variety of hardware products, personal systems, printers in all their complexity, and services, and offer that to a variety of customers. Our customers range from the corporate to the mid-market to the individual retail customers, right? So, so for us, a customer experience is always going to be a hybrid customer experience because of the diversity that we have. And also today's times are such that any one method is always going to be wanting in truly giving a customer a good experience. So let me just break this down a little bit. From a corporate customer perspective, obviously for us, a direct sales touch, whether that happens face-to-face or whether it happens through calls or conference calls or Zoom or whatever, that direct sales touch is absolutely critical. And we define that with a coverage model that is obviously different across different geographies of the world. And at the same time, we supplement that with various digital platforms so that the customer also gets consistent information from us while they are also getting access to HP via direct salesperson, right? If you look at the mid-market and retail side of things, right, you would probably see that HP does 85 to 90% of our business via channel partners. So these are the distributors like Ingram Micro, where you were part of that. Sub-distributors, value-added resellers, corporate resellers. We have a lot of channel partners who do business for us. And for us, having a communication platform through them is extremely important. And we do that via partner business managers, PBMs, and also multiple partner forums where we speak to these channel partners depending on geography, depending on their specific aspect of the market that they serve, and have communication and customer experience through them. Over a period of time, we have also tried to do that, supplemented with a lot of digital technology, so that they have that support from us as well, right? And on the retail side of things are moving a lot more towards omni-channel, right? It is no longer a online only play, or no longer a retail only play. A good example of that would be 500 plus HP World stores that we have in India, and we also have the HP online operations, right? So how do you supplement each other so that a customer can have an experience online and go pick up a product of their liking in a physical store, or can walk into a physical store and find that they want something else and order a lot of stuff from HP online as well, right? So that is where this omni-channel thing is very critical to give customers those consistent experiences. But through all of this, right, whether it is a direct touch, whether it is through a channel partner, or whether it is online, or whether it's in a retail store, I think the important thing for us to remember in a customer experience is that it absolutely has to be consistent as far as possible, in terms of experience, in terms of pricing, in terms of specifications, etc. It has to be fact-based, because customers always want to have that fact-based information. But ultimately, it has to be with humility, with honesty, and with a lot of truthfulness, right? These days, even though information is available far more than what it was, it is also very difficult for customers to kind of make sense of it, because there is so much of information and data that is available. For our job to give a good customer experience ultimately is to have that HP brand that talks to them about consistency, humility, truthfulness, fact-based, and more concern for the customers than any other part of what it means to us from a business point of view. So I think that to me is the essence of what customer experience we can provide.
Absolutely, I can't agree with you more, because you're into a B2B2C model. You kept it that way for long, for a good healthy part even now. I remember that for Ingram, we used to invite you for partner days, and I used to be invited for Hewlett-Packard on the go-to-market strategies recalls. And you said it well on the online versus offline brick and mortar things, that people click and then collect it at the store, right? They didn't want to spend time, look for the product, just collect it there. And I remember my printer, when the cartridge is going off, it will say it's going off. Can I order directly? It tells me at the push of a button. So funny, right? So very interesting stuff. And so you're getting into the last mile and yet not disrupting your channel. That's the interesting part. Good. So that helps, Vinay. Thank you so much. And let me move on to from the feedback of listening to a customer to what are the strategies, what are the plans, and what are the different actions you're taking within your organization, right? To have a delightful customer experience. I want to move into a second phase of the question. I'd like to start off with you, CK, first, Singapore this time. You get a chance to be the first to share, like, how is anything on the platform, technology, products and service, how are you keeping your customer delighted? Right, CK.
Thanks, Manoj. Basically, how we do it is really very much, we are a technology company. So we focus very much in terms of technology itself. And data, it becomes very important to mainly all our customers itself. We hold a lot of data. So what we have done is we actually create really good dashboard. The dashboard sometimes itself is helpful. It could be also not really helpful to people. The helpful dashboard that we will embark on is really to share with people on their health status in terms of their performance or transaction itself. And they will know, like, for example, if a transaction is done, how long does it take to complete, or how long does it take to deliver? And how's the performance between, you book between an LSP to another LSP? What's the response time? And with all these analytics information itself, it actually allows our customers itself to have better understanding how their business, especially during this pandemic timeframe, where a lot of people are looking at, it's not about cost saving. It's about how do I reach out to more customers? How do I make things work when people are not stepping out of the house? So data become very important for us to really study. And we need to present a dashboard that really suit what the customer need. I think earlier on, DATO also share, if you give people, a nice view of the data, they will come back, ask for more. And that is what happened now also. We are getting more and more requests. People are saying that, can you break down into this, because, which is, we are happy with that. Because these show that people are very keen in terms of getting the data, and they want to make decision with all this data on how they want to grow their business. And we are able to help them because we hold all the data itself. We're able to share with you the dashboard that you require, and from there we work. Definitely the next step that we want to do is really to have really real-time engagement with them. They can actually, build their own dashboard on the fly, and they can see all these things. These are things that, we're planning to do. And on top of that, we are also building up our new next generation Callista, which is the product, which is we are enhancing in terms of the UI and the UX itself. So very much is on the UI. We got a lot of feedback from our customers. We're a good feedback channel. So they told us, say that, I need to have this, I need to have that. And we give them, say that, hey, I want to make it easy. Before that, maybe 3 clicks to complete the process. Now is 1 click. Like earlier on, Vinay also said, right? If your cartridge run out, the system automatically prompt you, say that, hey, press this button to buy new cartridge.
Correct. Straight away.
Yeah.
Right.
We like to have that also. If, for example, if your transaction is done and you say that, hey, you need more transaction, I can be able to tell him, say, I need more transaction. Why don't you click and do more transaction?
Yeah. Got it.
That's something that we really want to put up. And the analytics tool is really something that we focus on to build a pretty, a very fanciful kind of dashboard. Today, I may not be able to tell you, say, how fancy is it, but definitely in the next couple of maybe less than 3 to 4 months time, we should be able to share more.
Great. So we'll wait for that, the next series maybe. Yeah, we'll invite CK. Yeah, got it. So that's a good summing of what the delightful customer experience is, CK. I'd like to move to Dato Sri yourself, and I've been interacting with your team quite closely, Dato Sri, for last 1 year being in the consortium. I know a lot of efforts are being put under your leadership on expanding your products and services. You may want to put some light on how are you trying to get your customers delighted to the next phase, right? That'll be interesting to hear from you.
I think first, let's maybe 2 things, Manoj. Number 1 is and how to help them with their current issues. Like I said, as COVID-19 now settled in, people tend to realize that it now exists different pain points in the company. So our job as partners is trying to resolve the pain point as much as possible. And the only way to do that, as I said, we're now sending team, working closely with them to understand the issues and to come up quick improvements for the solution that we have today. So we have now adopted what we call an agile work environment, where solution and release can be done in much more faster sprints compared to before, because time is of the essence. And one of the things that I realized, the pain point our customers today are doing, they want to be more efficient and they want to reduce the cost of doing business. That's where the space where DNX want to position ourselves. So we need to then find, creative ideas and how to lower the cost of doing business with them, looking at both the traditional and non-traditional way, and also to digitize and automate some of the process that used to be manual, so that then they can reduce their fire a bit more efficient. So that's one part of just the core thing. I mean, the current services that we're doing, we just have to be more efficient. The second part, as CK had said, and people now are hungry for new technology. One of the things that we are, investing heavily, apart from data analytics, is to what we call include AI, artificial intelligence features into our system. And for example, we have a product today, because today, Manoj, upskilling and reskilling becomes almost a demand for everybody. But you cannot go to have a big conference call anymore, or conference room, or training. Everything has been virtual. So the one thing about the virtual training is sometimes you don't know whether the students are sleepy, and whether they are attentive or not. So we have an AI in our system called Claire. When you actually do training, we can see the facial expression,
right,
of whoever's online. So whether you are attentive, inattentive, whether you are skipping, you are cheating, these are the things that we're able to react. And we've done this with 2 ministries, and they like it very much. Wow. Of course, obviously the student doesn't like it, but the bosses like it.
I like it.
So when we put this kind of technology, it gives a different dimension of the traditional training that we used to have. So we want to use AI to drive and enhance what we call, the customer experience, what you had mentioned. Second, we also trying to build a pillar in terms of blockchain about traceability. If you probably have read the papers over the last couple of months in Malaysia, there was this issue about the halal meat traceability. And there was a lot of contention in the market, whether it is halal, not halal. So we have worked with the government. We're going to introduce what we call a blockchain encrypted, what we call QR code, and the ability to trace end to end from the abattoir all the way up to the consumer. So people can know and use, have confidence in blockchain to make sure that their product, once it's halal, is real halal, for an example. So these are the two pillars, Manoj, that we believe, in Dagannet and DNext, that we want to build our future, is to use AI as a tool to provide that kind of customer experience, whether you are a trade facilitator or whether you are just a user of trading modules. And even CK was saying, chatbots, chatbot becomes a norm today. So you don't have to have someone calling and running the phone anymore because everything can be done online. The second technology, obviously, is blockchain. We want to make sure that gives customers and our ecosystem confidence about all this, leakages, privileges. But one of the things that I fear the most, Manoj, as we go into the space of technology, internally, there is this issue about retaining the right talent in the organization. Number one.
Yes.
Number two, from a customer point of view, we also worry that technology will empower them to do even more, what we call more deep analysis with the business. Two things can happen: either their business can grow and they see us as a partner, or they also see the inefficiency in the past that we'll probably have seen.
I like that.
So sometimes it could be a double-edged sword. But I believe. We are not, we want to position DNext of, we don't want to sell products. I think we want to run away from selling product, over the software. We want to be a real business partner. And what is suitable and what is value to the customer, we want to subscribe and want to provide end to end. So, my approach, in what we call incorporating technology, number one is what we have today, digitizing and automating it so that we remove the human intervention, minimize human error. And going forward, we want to make sure that we drive through data analytics, AI, and also using blockchain as part of our delivery to our customer. And by doing that, I think the position or the image of DNext will be a little bit different in the next couple of years. And our motto today, Manoj, we want to be trade facilitation partner of choice, which means you want to reduce your cost of doing business and you want to make your business to be more efficient. So that's our positioning. And as CK and I think, Vinay and Jamil has said, there's no other way. Technology is the only way to get by. So for technology, whether you own it or you work with your partner, I think we cannot own all the technology within ourselves. Some we're going to create our own proprietary technology and solution. Others, I think I advocate the area of collaboration. I'm also learning from CK on our board, our friends in Singapore, what you guys are doing, So because this is, we're not here to reinvent any wheel. I think the fast to market is very important. Make less mistakes and learn from mistakes of others. That's something that I advocate.
Very good. No, that you summed it up quite well, Datuk, actually. And co-partner, co-innovation is the way to go. And seamless onboarding for customer experiences. And I like the way of saying not being just traditional on your export and import kind of a cross-border company, going all the way to a track and trace using blockchain. And that's the way I think you're expanding your services for the customers to be a one-stop shop, right? Similar to what even CK has mentioned earlier on in Celesta platform, right? Interesting stuff. You're going beyond your traditional business. That's good to know to keep your delightful customers. Moving on to Hewlett Packard, Vinay, yourself, a lot on 3D printing and all that, closer to your exact domain and all that. Anything you'd like to try, throw light on how you like to have a delightful customer for HP?
Well, we are a technology company, right? We have been, in the business of engineering good experiences for customers. And whether it is from the first oscillator platform that our founding fathers made in the late 30s to a futuristic technology like 3D, right? I think my personal take on this one is that technology will continue to evolve. There will be technologies that will come in, mature, sunset, and new ones will come up, right? So I think innovation is obviously going to be very critical. However, I think from a customer centricity point of view, you have to keep the customer as the North Star. There have been so many brands, so many companies who have not survived the transitions that have happened in technology, not just in terms of what technology does for the people, but also in terms of how technology actually is used to sell, right? And yet, we are fortunate that we continue to, evolve with the times. But I do think that is because we do believe that ultimately that relationship with customer is super critical. From the moment of consideration to a selection, based on a customized personalization as to what the customer wants, towards all the way up to post-sales support. No matter where you buy our product, Manoj, right? You might buy it from Lazada, you might buy it from Amazon, you might buy it from a retail store. We do know that ultimately, if it works for you, it is very humbling and very good for us. But if it doesn't work for you, we are the ones who own that solution for you, right? So if tomorrow, as you were mentioning, if a cartridge is not delivered to you on time, or if it is not functioning, it is our relationship with you that matters. And that's why eventually throughout your life you will probably own multiple HP products, and will be happy as a customer to do that, no matter where you buy it, which part of the country, which part of the globe you might buy it, and no matter where you buy it from. So to us, that customer centricity and that relationship with the customer, is extremely important. And like any good relationship, I think it's based on honesty, it's based on caring, it's based on continuous engagement, and also to a large extent, personalizing it for you. So I think that is what drives us every day. And hopefully, as we have continued to bring in more and more new technologies in computing, printing, etc., right, we'll continue to do so for the times to come.
Yeah, and that you summed it up quite well, Vinay, because you're having too many handshakes. You want to make sure that seamless customer experience goes on, and then you make sure you have a delightful customer until the last mile of where it is delivered, and having a relationship. You own it, but still there's channel.
It's through the lifetime. You buy it, in a couple of weeks after all consideration, but ultimately your product experience is there for the entire life. That's why we call it install base, right? We don't call it like a one-time sale or a transaction. For us, that relationship is extremely important.
Yeah, beyond the point of sale, right? Just even beyond the point of sale. Absolutely. You summed it quite well. So I'd like to move on to Lazada, Jamil, yourself, and a lot of things happening, right? Like every day is like I in fact forgot the calendar of holidays in Singapore, because every time the promotions come, 3-3-4-4, gone are the dates of Christmas, Diwali, or any other Hari Raya, right? So you have a Lazada calendar, right? So can you share with us how do you retain and have a customer delight from Lazada standpoint? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I can pick up a couple of things that Vinay just mentioned. I was interested, when he used the word consistency and then humility and honesty and trust. I think like when you think about that experience is beyond last mile, is to return, the return element is very important, because if something doesn't work, I am trusting you. So if something goes wrong, I want you to deal with this for me, right? So I think that element, and you're right. I think, when I think about customer experience, I remember my time when I started off with Redmart initially. Why do you think fresh food is important when you deliver a grocery offer? Is because fresh creates the retention. That's the thing that creates a return order, because you need to top up your fridge with your freshest product. And if you do this right, with freshness, with quality, the chance of people coming back to you is a lot greater. And then they'll buy other things alongside, that customer base. So the way I see it is, there's two bits to it. There's one way something goes wrong and you have to fix it pretty much immediately, and that could be a quick sprint. You take 4-6 weeks to fix a specific problem that just occurred. And there's some way you do fix things. And going back to Vinay's point about the consistency bit now, you need to be consistently good, right? Obviously you won't get everything right, and that's where the sprints come in to fix those little bits. When I look at it in the way we run our business is based around products, so the range of products that you're offering, is the pricing, the promotion, and then it's the actual convenience part of it. So the services you add to bring customer the delight that they need to have to make online a platform they want to work with. And I also subscribe to, I don't think a future of just online business is a healthy one. We must have a balance where you have some in-store traffic, because our high streets, shopping malls must also have a life that they lead. And, you create a happy medium where you can do both in this setup. So the way I believe we do it is we create, and you're right, there's a lot of data there and it becomes very powerful, and what you do with it is very, very important. The way we work in our business today is we take all the information. We have a 3-year strategy, for example. With whatever we've gone through in the last 12 months, we take the information, we actually then create, again, going back to the 3 bold pillars of the product, the pricing, and then the convenience. We then create a business sort of plan, which is aligned from technology to your commercial side, to your fulfillment side, to your last mile customer service. And then more importantly, at the bottom is your people, right? Making sure you have the right caliber people leading this change forward. Once you've created that vision of what you need to create, and again, using the data to support you with the way forward, you write a very succinct plan that actually gives you a very clear deliverable that you must do by function that enables the end-to-end customer experience. So like, for example, if we get the last mile right, we get the fulfillment wrong, get the last mile right, you still have a very disappointing customer because we probably delivered the wrong product. We got there on time, but the whole experience is gone. You could do the most amazing product pricing and all that stuff. Last mile will let it down. Again, the experience is gone. So I think being consistent and being aware of where you fall over, what are those things that trip you, fixing those is very important. So creating that end-to-end alignment is very good, which also means from a business perspective, each individual knows, like, we literally create a relay now. You say, when I do something, I hand over to you, your job is to do this. If I live up to my KPIs and my ownership of the service I'm offering over to you, then I am done. Then it's your turn. You have to deliver. Then you hold each other very much accountable to those KPIs. And at the end of the month, end of the week, whatever it is you're reviewing, you can then start spotting where the errors occurred. And again, you know what? Things go wrong. We know they go wrong, and there's always a reason why they went wrong. And then it's a case of how do you now delve into the detail of that and fix that. So over time, when we think we can fix that, but broadly speaking, our operation works pretty well. And using the information that you have actually helps. And then one other thing I wanted to share was, there was a couple of references to chatbot as well. We brought that technology into a business about 2 years ago. What was really interesting was, with all the calls we should take, we then recognized as soon as we brought the chatbot into the mix, about 80% of the issues actually got resolved pretty much immediately. Only 20% that get escalated to a person who has to deal with them. Which again, from a customer experience, when you think about it, I don't want to hang around on a phone waiting for somebody to listen to me. If the call drops, I have to repeat my whole case again. Here I can actually manage my own problem right the way through. And with the food business, we tried something different. Anything below a certain value, if the product wasn't to your standard, you have a section within the app. You go in there and you raise a query, and then you actually say this product was damaged or was missing or was a wrong item. Pretty much immediately we will refund you the value, and we'll actually offer you a replacement future order. So I think bringing that customer intuition into what you're doing and having alignment within the business, what needs to happen, and create into a relay with very clear KPIs, holding the team accountable, kind of gets you there. And you literally make your customer first by living, not only, you speak the words customers important, customer, comes first, but if you make them central to everything you build and build things around them, and then make sure people understand this, then the whole thing actually sticks together pretty well. So that's how we sort of thought as a philosophy we want to run our business. And we're doing this for the last 5 years at least. When we went from a startup to becoming something of a reasonable sized business, we implemented these things into the ways of working.
Yeah, absolutely. So you summed it up quite well, Jamil, and probably going to the last round, probably have a minute for each of you. Is there a clear success story you can share? Starting with you, from having a good, delightful experience, or maybe a GTM strategy, a quick one, a minute, on a success story you would like to share, recent one, by having a campaign done well or co-partnering with MediaCorp. It rings a bell for me. Like, you would like to share any of those?
I'll share. Maybe, it's not.
Oh, sure. Sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I interrupt? Sorry, I was.
No,
I
no,
thought it
no,
was-
no, go ahead, Vinay. It's a panel,
Sorry,
right? Anybody can say. No problem.
Sorry,
Yeah,
sorry.
go ahead. So Jamil gets a little time to think a little bit. Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My apologies, but if you want to go ahead, I mean, I can come back.
No problem, Vinay. Go ahead. Share
Okay.
story.
Look,
Real
I
quick
think
one,
for us, the real success story has been how this pandemic has brought millions of customers closer to our product offerings, right? And I guess this is a testament to the fact that you can never react to a big disruption in the market. Your business model has to be ready that when that disruption comes, it can serve the customer in a good way. So you might, Mano, you would probably remember, right? Many people were writing obituaries about personal computers, right? And saying the desktop is dead and this, so on and so forth, a few years ago, and saying, smartphones will take over, right? And everything will be done. And now we do know that, with the disruption that has happened, that these simple technologies have become so critical for customers, right? So the success story that I would call is really having the portfolio serve the customers in such a way that the demand has gone up, in double digit, right? In mature industries like computing or printers, having this such high demand is a testament to the fact that having customer centricity and having technology that can make their experiences, whether it is working or whether it is interacting with friends or entertaining themselves, or indulging in some creative pursuit, it is very critical that you have that customer centricity and address their needs on a continuous basis. And when a break comes, whether in the form of a good disruption or a big need, then you benefit from that. So
got it. Invest in technology, and then pandemic has pushed technology investments high, right? So that itself is a good success story by itself. Yes, I mean, PCs and desktops are going to stay. I'm with you. We actually are running out of a backlog of orders, right? So absolutely with you. So quickly moving on to CK, maybe yourself, any success story to share? CK, quick one as part of wrap up.
A good success story to share is really that we see more subscribers coming up to our platform because of the pandemic, and people are really getting used to all the so-called the interactions that we have online. And this was proven in a way because of the user experience that people seem to improve. I think many times people are very frustrated with a lot of paperwork, a lot of processes that they have to go through. But when we advocate in terms of what is the online services, we see that their subscriber rate itself went up. Like one of our products itself is the Callisto Freight Exchange. The short period of time we launched in April 2020. It was during the worst case of the pandemic timeframe. And guess what? By August 2020, we actually have signed up about close to 300 over users to sign up to use our products itself. So this proves that people are accepting the adoption of the changes itself, and we see that this pandemic actually really rely very much on how you enhance your customer experience, and people get to see that this is a good chance that I should embark on it, change the process. Really, that is something that we like to share, and that is something really a booster to myself and the team itself to say that, hey, they've done a great successful things, especially during this pandemic time frame.
Yeah, so that's why we know you're in a high responsibility. Yeah, you got it. So it justifies. Pandemic push you. Yeah. So Jamil, maybe we'll go to you, and then I'll finish off with DATO, right? Jamil, maybe any good success story of campaign, co-innovation, anything you'd like to share?
Yeah, sure. I think the one thing I look back at, and again, is the pandemic created a very different method of how we all worked. So when I look back, we launched live streaming. So obviously we don't contact customers physically a lot, but we created live streaming as an option within our app, where you can actually, as a promoter of a product, you can come in and do a live streaming of the product, share with the customers what the product is about, why would you use it. So we have like tips on makeup, cooking, clothing, and we have a studio that we built for doing that. And that literally we do like if I was to log onto app now, there'd be a streaming going off something or another. what I recognized was, that actually brought people closer to the product, and also helped in this particular environment to actually get used to shopping without going to a store. So they got, without having to test and check things, they looked at particularly the influencer who can actually take them through these products, and sell them with whatever they think they wanted. Secondly, we use this to great effect as well. So we actually, particularly in Singapore, we brought in a doctor who specializes in tropical diseases at the very early stages of, when COVID came in. All sorts of rumors are around, like if you get a parcel, there could be potential to catch it through the packaging and so on. So we invited this doctor along. He did a 45-minute session for us to all the customers that we had, and basically explained how, what should you do to protect yourself, what cannot actually affect you, and so on. So I think we used it for greater good as well of the society, of educating people on certain specific things that they were actually really, really concerned about. Now, on the other side, we actually then also helped our sellers bring their business closer to the customer base. So I think was, for me, when I look back, is one of the biggest achievements we've had, and I think it will change how we do business, coming to the future. And I think it will actually bring a new paradigm to how online actually works.
No, that really helps, giving a kind of a brick and mortar feeling on an online platform, leveraging a network and the products. Yeah, amazing. So thanks for sharing that, Jamil. And Datushi, I would like to wrap up with you saying that any good success story which you would like to share for where the customer delight, customer is very happy.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, being a trade facilitation partner, one of the challenges on this COVID-19 is sourcing of component and supply chain. And one that come, top of mind. Number one is Petronas. Well, because I used to be in Petronas, a while ago. But Petronas, because of their global procurement, they use a lot of vendors and suppliers. And they, because of the COVID, some of the traditional supply chain have to be reshifted. So when they use our trade facilitation platform, they have issues in trying to reconcile their documentation, to the back-end system. So what we offer them a web-based application to integrate the platform, the trade platform, into the SAP. So now they really enjoy it. So they have now, the procurement team have better visibility about where the cargoes are coming in, and processing of invoice are much better, shipping documents are done much faster. So that's a very classic example that they had a pain point. We intervened very quickly, trying to remove the pain point. Second is, of course, IKEA. Similar thing, complexity on their inbound import documentation. So we integrate, our front-end trade facilitation system into the SAP. And now the bosses have real time in terms of where documents are, where the goods are going to be, particularly in the vessel. So that gives them better planning in terms of, reacting to the market. So these two important customer gave us a lot more confidence, because whatever they are facing, I think almost all companies are going through the same thing. So that is why we want to, really learn from these two experience, make it a bit more, simpler in terms of our integration. And like CK said, empower them to do the integration some by themselves, so that they can then do their own, simple integration, and then they can have the visibility of the data. And I believe, if I were in their shoes, having live information is key to make business decisions. They want to know where the goods are. They don't want bottlenecks in documentation, at the custom. They want to, be able to process their tariff, their tax very quickly, because that's that drives, the efficiency in the business. So those are two examples that I really want to share, and I'm sure there's plenty out there of people who are demanding the same thing. So the good news, I think, for people like us, there's always an opportunity to grow. The question is, how do you, customize your solution, and how do you approach and addressing, the widespread of a customer that we have, big multinational, even to the SME. The other gap, Manoj, maybe I just want to share with our colleagues, in Malaysia. Malaysia is focusing a lot on growth at SME. These are the people who doesn't really have any, big system, but still, technology, but still hungry for efficiency. For example, Vinay, I'm talking to your colleague here at HP in Malaysia to package, good HP modules, or rather than high capital up cost. Now people want to only pay as you use kind of concept. So the business model a little bit is different. So what was traditional, if we were to adapt and working with partners like HP, Microsoft, and that's what we do. Then I think we can customize, and then I think, bring music to ears of the customer. So like I say, a happy customer is always a returning customer. So my job is to make sure that all our customers are happy this year. So hopefully.
Yeah, very good. So you summed it up quite well. So consortium like us, we like to bring the industry, government, and organizations like you together. So there's more opportunity there. And thanks for sharing that, Datuk, actually. So that really helps. And partnering with the platforms, doing with the different integration points with APIs and all that, it's a good, delightful experience and good success story you shared. So with this, I think this is very interesting, and then this series which can go on and on with the experience you have, but we are running a little short of time. I'd like to thank you, Datuk, for spending your time and sharing your insights with us, CK from Crimson and Getz. So thank you so much. And same with Vinay, Hewlett-Packard. Thanks for sharing, and Jamil from Lazada. Thank you so much, and really happy to have you guys here and excited to moderate this time. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure, brother.